Well, hi there again, you all. Have no fear. I am still here in northeast South Vietnam. Excuse me while I light a cigarette. So here we have another typical day here in Vietnam. Usually, rather, a day that is very unusual for me. A day off. How about that, sports fans? And boy, I tell you, I am enjoying it to the utmost. We have finally moved over here to Camp Da Nang, which was just on the opposite side of the base, further south from where we were originally. Brand new barracks, air conditioned. What else can you ask for in a war zone, right? Thought you might agree. Feels good to wake up in the morning and it's so chilly in your room that you say the hell with it. You're just going to stay underneath the covers, if you know what I mean. But it's much better sleeping at night, that's for sure. And a little bit more quieter too. Now that we got separate rooms, you don't have a bunch of people running around and yelling and screaming and playing the tape recorders and the record players loud. So you can sort of keep everything under control in your own room. When we first got over here a couple of days ago, we only had two to a room, Dean Caresby and myself, but now we got three. That's the breaks of the game. The room's a little bit small for three people, but we're still a lot better off than what we were. So that much we have to be thankful for. It's up north yesterday, and RTB time now, well, return to base back here to Da Nang is getting later and later. Last night we didn't leave there until 7 o'clock. So you figure you get up between 4 and 4:30 in the morning, and makes it a pretty long day. While I was up there, I was able to wheel and deal for a case of steaks and brought them back and went outside to where the other barracks was, not as new as ours. Got together with those people over there, also air crew members. Those people over there, they fly the Spookies. I don't know whether you've heard of Spooky or not, but it's an old AC-47. And they do a hell of a terrific job over here. They really do. They have 3 miniguns. We call them miniguns. Other people have different names for them. Gatling guns, if you want to call them that. 4,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute on each gun. And they fly air cover for the ground troops, Marines, the armies, and special teams that are in special areas do their mission. If they get caught in the middle, they get trapped, and they call for help. Spooky's usually the first one on the scene. And they'll give them air power, air cover. And they'll just, the team itself, it's on the ground, they'll give them directions where Charlie is, and they just go ahead and fire. And sometimes at night, we're out here, look down south of the base or west over toward the mountain, that you can see Spooky work out. Every 5th round is a tracer. And well, when they shoot their rounds, it looks like you could step right outside that door of the airplane and just walk right on down. It's one steady stream of light. But that's neither here nor there, so I'll change the subject. But we did have a good time last night. We cooked the steaks up and had a few drinks, and everyone retired to bed feeling good. Need I say more? But in the last month or so, things have been pretty hectic. Go on, stand by a minute. Let's see, where was I? First sergeant, one of the other guys just came in to take an inventory on the furniture and everything. What they're really looking for is what different individuals have scrounged and requisitioned and to put in our rooms. It's about the only way you're going to get furniture for the time being. Everything's on order. Of course, you can hear that for just so long. What was I talking about? Well, I don't remember. So stand by a minute, and I'll flip the switch back, and I'll find out what I was talking about. Okay? Right, now I remember. I'm talking about the steaks. It was pretty well covered, so we'll leave that at that. For, give you a brief rundown in the last month or so. Actually, it's pretty hard to remember everything. Everything happened so fast around here. Back on the 10th, I think it was, I was up north. Got involved in the mission up there and over in northern Laos. I mean the northern part of Laos. The low bird did get a pickup. I was on the high bird, the backup bird. And the primary mission of the high bird is to watch the low bird at all times, have him in sight, make sure he's all right. If he develops into any trouble, well, we're right there on the spot. So we can swoop right in and get them if they should happen to set their aircraft down. Like I said, they did get a pickup, and we were going to get the other one. There was 2 guys in the airplane that went down, and he was only on the radio for about, I guess for about an hour after they punched out. And by the time we got done picking up the back seater, and then moved over in his area to get him, he was no longer on the radio. So, not really much more I can say about it. I hate to admit it, but we did not pick him up because of the fact we lost voice contact with him, and no flares, no nothing from him. So, the way we look at it is Charlie got him. We just hope and pray that at least he was taken prisoner anyways. He was have some kind of a chance anyways. There's been quite a few missions in the last 3 weeks around here. Quite a few pickups made. And it sort of keeps us going all the time. It always feels good to make a pickup. A little while back, a bunch of us got together, and every unit in Southeast Asia has just about come up with a song of their different outfits. And so naturally the Jolly Greens, the pararescue of the Jolly Greens, had to come up with something, if you know what I mean. So let me dig out the words here. Of course, I'm not going to sing it. Never have been a singer. The way that people sing nowadays and make their money, it wouldn't be a bad idea. So I think you might be interested in this. So here goes. This is what we came up with. Rescue, rescue is our cry. Save that man or he may die. Jolly Green, won't you hover low so I can save old G.I. Joe? I don't give a damn, so drop me lower in that jungle on the ground. G.I. Joe, now what do you say? Your rescue man is here today. Poor old Joe, he ain't feeling well. I pick him up and I run like hell. I put him on the rescue sling, and I'm below where the bullets ring. It's on that sling and up I go. I leave the enemy down below. I'm on my way back to the base. I look my GI in the face. He kneels down and he begins to pray. Thank you, Lord, for my rescue today. I hand him a smoke and he shakes my hand. I'm so proud I'm a rescue man. Rescue, rescue is our cry. Save that man or he may die. Jolly Green, won't you hover low so I can save old G.I. Joe? Well, that's it. Now that we came up with the words, we're trying to get the right music to go with it. It's just something you can strum along on the guitar with. So maybe one of these days shortly we'll come up with something and I'll let you know how it comes out. Okay? sort of changes things all of a sudden. I don't know why, but let me get back on my ways of thinking here. I had a few things to say, and right now, right offhand, I can't remember what to say. Last month, I flew a training mission. In fact, the last time I flew a training mission, flew down to the island down south, and really nice place. The natives are there and all, but it's absolutely free of, let's say, the enemy. I mean, there's no one there, and you just set the chopper down, and everyone goes for a swim and all this, and we were having a grand old time. Took a couple of cases of beer along with us, and a box of chicken to fry, and built a fire down there. We were frying chicken, and took a few of the maintenance people down there. They don't seem to. All they do is, work here on the flight line and all. They don't get a chance to go down the island, so we took a few with us. And lo and behold, we ended up with a medevac off the island. A 14-year-old girl had scalded herself with boiling hot water and burned her legs, and etc. And by the time we found out, she was laying on the floor all this time, and a rat came up and bit her in the back of her leg. So it took us 30 minutes to get to her. Had her go through the village and all, and we put her on a stretcher and put her in a chopper, and we medevaced her out to Chulai, which is about 20 minutes from there. So it seemed that, like, from that day on, I haven't had much time for myself. Of course, really, most of us over here would rather be flying or doing something. And I don't care what I'm doing as long as I keep busy and as long as it's not paperwork. I got stuck with so much paperwork here about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. I had so much I got fed up with it, and I must admit I blew my stack and everything had built up, but I got it out of my system, so everything's better now. And here it is, almost 1 April, and every day gets shorter and shorter. But I have pretty well decided. Well, I had decided back in December that when they try to force me to commit myself to a re-enlistment or discharge, and I didn't want to do either one at the time. It was mainly I wanted to find out what would happen in the court hearing I had to go to back in December. So I told them then that I would extend for 6 months, and that's what I did. And when I did it, I knew that at that time they weren't accepting extensions, because there's a lot of pararescue people that haven't been over here yet, and they want to get everyone over here, and what it amounts to is just about everyone's been over here now, and just in the last 2-3 months, a great big build-up here in the country, throughout the country, the 43 outfits, the H3s, and the 53s, the Super Jollies. So now they're talking about sending people back for the second tours. So anyways, when I came back from the States, they had done something wrong on my paperwork, and it hadn't gone through yet. So right then I had my choice to keep the extension or forget about it, and then commit myself to discharge or re-enlistment. But instead I went ahead and I extended 6 months, and it came down approved. And so now my new DEROS date stands. New DEROS and new discharge date would be 5 April 70. Next April, about a year. So as you can see, I have another year over here. But to my surprise, and a few other people who were surprised, about 5 days ago, my assignment came down from Headquarters Rescue up there at Scott, and they say I'm going to Clark Air Base in the Philippines come August for a 2-year assignment. It just so happened a couple of people good friends of mine came down from group headquarters there in Saigon, and I talked to them about it, and I said, what in the world would they want me at Clark for? Because I don't want to go. Well, it's a good place, but I guess I've had enough of the Pacific, I guess. Enough for overseas for a while. So anyways, I turned the assignment down, and I'm going to stay here the extra 6 months. So I'll be here until April. So by come September, October, I'll have to commit myself to either discharge or reenlistment. And at this time, I really don't know what I want to do. I don't know whether I want to stay in or get out or what. But I know it would be to my advantage if I stayed in. Not only the fact of having a roof and a paycheck coming in, but I've been with Rescue for quite a while now. And Jimmy Miller, who you know, and Jimmy Spears is another one. We've all been in this together ever since it started, ever since we started. And we sat down, we talked about it one night, and we realized that in 4, 5, 6 years to come, well, hell, we're gonna be the top dogs in this business, and we can pretty well name our own ticket, and we'll probably be sitting up there at headquarters, or in one way or another, we'll be running our part of rescue, the pararescue men. So it sort of makes you stop and think. And I look down at this tape; it's getting kind of short, so I'll see you. Well, have no fear, Granny's back again. And I was saying on the other side about the different advantages of staying with rescue. Not only that, but starting after 1 July, this coming July, Rescue's bought 30 Hueys, which are helicopters for stateside assignments, local base rescue, LBR units. You'd have five or at the most 6 PJs to a section, and this would be throughout the United States. And as it stands right now, if we go back for stateside duty, we can only go to Hamilton Air Force Base, California, Peace Air Force Base, New Hampshire. That's your 2 big main operational squadrons. You take Peace. Peace had a jump mission back here in December, I think it was. Give or take a month, I guess. A couple of guys jumped out south of Portland, I guess it was, about 150 miles out to sea. I don't remember exactly what it is, so I won't go into it. And you can always go to Patrick down in Florida for on-pad recovery with the space shots. And they activated a unit, rescue unit in Selfridge Air Force Base, Michigan, I think it is, up by the Great Lakes, I think. And actually, you could always go to Eglin, and that's where they want me to go, and I don't want to go to Eglin. I don't want nothing to do with that school down there. That's all it is. Eglin is nothing but a school down there. You have your regular pararescue school, which is temporarily closed for the time being, and you have your different chopper schools down there also. They plan on reopening the regular pararescue school come June, I think it is. Right now they push through too many of them. There's too many of us in the field. And of course there's a lot of them getting out. So the only reason they use the school nowadays is people like us, when we leave Southeast Asia, we have to go to another outfit, back to a 130 outfit where we jump again and do our scuba diving and all that jazz, and we have to requalify. So it would be a 6-week school for us for requalification, and in that 6 weeks you would have a 2-week school of 7-level medical training. It's something new that they came up with. This is to refreshing our memories and all this. And of course, Rescue has another project coming up. It's still under the hat. I'll say a little bit about it, but not too much. I think we all knew it was coming sooner or later. I know it's been in the mill for, well, as long as I've been in rescue, it's been in the mill. And it's to do with your space shots and all, and they're looking at rescue from that point of view. So who knows? In a few years to come, pararescue men may be going to the moon. We'll leave it at that. I can't say that I'm too intrigued about it, but if it comes, and if I am still in the service, I'm going to give it a whirl. Why not? It's another new horizon. Something I haven't done yet. Of course, it would involve a year and a half, 2 years of training. It'd probably be down in Houston. I don't know. And I know for a fact that my name's right at the top of the list. So what can I say? So I guess I could say it'd be worth my while to stay in. But yeah, it's all this other BS that you got to put up with that gets to you all the time. What else can you say? So we'll leave everything at that, and we'll see what happens. See what happens when I leave here. If I stay in, when I leave here, I plan on going to Peace Air Force Base for a year anyways. I hope to. At least that's where I want to go. I'm not really interested, if I stay in, to go straight to headquarters up at Scott Air Force Base, Illinois, as of yet. I'm a little bit too young to go sitting behind the desk, if you know what I mean. Besides, like I said, I don't like all that paperwork. I still have in the back of my mind going down to Australia, but I don't know. Since I've been over here, I've thought of so many things. Thought about things I have done. Well, I'll just say I've recovered my whole life quite a few times to see what I've done, to think about what there is to do, what kind of a life I've had, which way I've led it, what I've done good, what I've done wrong, and, well, hell, you know what I mean. Here I am, 26 years old, and maybe it's weird, I don't know, but I haven't got the foggiest idea of what I'd like to do. I'm just undecided. What can I say? I don't regret what I've done, by all means. Don't get me wrong. I guess, like I've always said before, it's all part of growing up. Life isn't going to come to you, you got to go to life. It's what you make out of it. I've got something here in front of me that I came across the other day, written by a chaplain. It was in the Stars and Stripes paper here. I'd like to read it to you, just because it's something to say, but this little article, it really struck me weird. Well, maybe I'll just read it and let it be self-explanatory, okay? The title of it is The Value of Something Beautiful. The fact we are living in fast-moving times is not news to anyone. We seem to be constantly on the move. The days when one was born, spent his life, and died in the same community are past for all but a few in the Western world. Since we do not move about so much, it is good to ponder the question, what am I leaving behind as I move from one place to another? Whenever we move on from one place to another or pass through a place or situation, we leave something behind. Sometimes it is good and sometimes it is bad. Something is different because we were there. Responsible individuals will always be concerned about leaving a creative mark. The value of the good that can result when we apply ourselves to leaving something beautiful and creative behind is aptly seen in the life of the one we know as Johnny Appleseed. He went about planting apple seeds wherever he went. In the years that followed, the influence of this man was seen in many of the central states along the roadsides. What are we leaving behind? Seeds of harmony or seeds of discord? In time, men will see by the fruit of those seeds what we were doing. An 80-year-old man was planting peach trees in his backyard. When questioned about this by a neighbor, since he surely wouldn't live to eat the fruit of those trees, he replied that all his life he had enjoyed peaches, but had never planted a peach tree. He was now planning for the enjoyment of others. Again, what am I doing to make life richer for those in the future with the blessings that are mine as a result of the labors of many others in the past? We would all do well if we were to daily live by the philosophy which would say, may I daily show the same vision for future generations that I would expect for myself, and may I daily be planting seeds of kindness, concern, thoughtfulness, and understanding that will make the roadside of my life beautiful. By living in this manner, we will be richer for it, and we will bless the lives of those around us. How about that? Isn't that kind of interesting? Well, folks, I guess you could say I've just about run out of words. I really haven't said much. Not really much to say. But I do try. So we'll leave it at that. I hope that this tape finds you all in the best of health, happiness, spirits, and enjoying yourselves down there in that beautiful climate down there. And all I ask is have a ball, if you know what I mean. Enjoy yourselves. This summer, now that I've extended anywhere between 1 June and 30 September, I'm authorized a 30-day leave. All travel part of that leave will be paid for. For example, like, okay, if I leave here and I say, okay, I'm going to Boston, they'll give me plane tickets from the West Coast to Boston, and from Boston back to the West Coast. So I haven't actually made up my mind what time in between those periods that I'll be home. But I will be back this summer, Lord providing. So we can get together and have a long chit-chat then. You can't really say much over here without getting serious about it, because over here it's a whole different life, a different way of life over here. Like I mentioned before, you do a lot of thinking and you wonder. And you can actually feel yourself and see yourself changing over here. Me, well, I've changed quite a bit since I've been over here. And I've also grown up quite a bit too. But you do that all through life. At least that's what they tell me. So well, anyways, this summer I'll be home. Hope to be home anyway. As far as my health is concerned over here, it couldn't be better. I'm in good shape. Not the best physical shape that I'd like to be in. Sort of been skating lately. What I need to do is get serious and start working out and doing some exercises. Do all this flying and you're not getting enough exercises. With all these stakes over here, I mean, a guy can just sit back and get fat in a war zone. How about that? But whether I'll do it or not, I don't know. So I want you folks to know that I was real glad to hear from you all. I'm just sorry that it taking so long in return and sending the tape. And, by the way, I was real glad to hear that Don, Lois, and the kids had a real nice time down there. I knew they would. And I'm glad that they enjoyed themselves. And while I'm thinking of it, I want to thank you all ever so much for that tape you sent for my birthday. It was greatly appreciated. It was good to hear the voices again. And I'm glad they found time to say a few words. And I really enjoyed it. Well, tape is running short, but it's not that short, and I can't really think of much more to say. So I guess I'll just close it for now, and maybe the next time I'll be able to finish the whole tape. So take care and be good. Vaya con Dios. Until that time, later. Well, here we are. Another typical day in northeast South Vietnam. Here I am, I haven't even started and I'm lost for words already. But we'll see what I can do to get through this tape. When you're not in the process of making a tape, you're thinking about it, you can think of 1,000,001 things to say. But when it comes time to making one, it's pretty hard. It's just like writing a letter. But we'll see what happens, I'm sure. I'll be able to survive through it with no problems. But I want to thank you, first of all, very much for the tape you sent. I enjoyed it very, very good. And, a little bit different, really. I mean, from just reading a letter. I think it's more interesting when you receive a tape, really. You can go along at your own pace. I mean, it's easier, let's face it. And I'm pretty lazy when it comes to writing the letters. So maybe with the idea of starting these tapes, everything will be better. See what happens. Well, I don't know really where to start. But like I said, I'll get through the tape, so have no fear. Granny is here. The weather over here right now is sort of erratic. One day it's cold, and I mean, when I say it's cold, it's cold. You can just about freeze your toes off. It's so cold over here all of a sudden, and then turns right around the next day and you're sweating. So needless to say, it makes it pretty bad situation for colds and sickness and everything else that comes along your way. You know, I don't know whether you can tell or not on this tape, but I've got a cold. In fact, I've had one since I've been here. That's how it works. But other than that, we had a rainy season over here that lasted maybe a month instead of the usual 2.5, 3 months. Really surprised all of us that have gone through the monsoon seasons. Usually when the monsoon season hits over here, everything just about comes to a complete stop because of the weather and the cloud ceilings and everything else. And so all your operations have to be performed through the back door, as we say, the back door. It's on the other side of Laos. They perform all their airstrikes going in through Thailand, flying over Laos into North Vietnam. But as you well know, as we well know over here, that, as of last November 1st, the bombing came to a halt up there. And between you and I and the fence post, it's the saddest mistake they ever made in their life. And everyone thought it would sort of help the situation out, but it sure hasn't, because Charlie, well, we call Charlie Vietnamese. And they've definitely gotten their things straightened out. It's been pretty slow around here as far as rocket attacks go and
all the other goodies of the so-called war zone. I must admit it's quite a war zone. I mean, the chow hall doesn't help the situation that much with their food, but with a little bit of wheeling and dealing for a bottle of booze here and a bottle of booze there. Uh, like I said, for being in a war zone, we have a good many steak meals and hamburger meals and fried chicken over here. And just the will to survive, we'll say. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? Uh, Last night, I was going to start this tape. I got involved and I had to write an APR, an Airman's Performance Report, on one of the guys that work for me over here. And it was pretty hard to write uh, as an all-around individual in the Air Force, adaptability to the Air Force, and military bearing and behavior, everything that's called for. And, this certain individual has been over here since June, and in July on his first rescue mission. He got in quite a bit of trouble once he got on the ground in the jungle, and they finally come down with word that they're trying to upgrade the medal that he was put in for, the Air Force Cross. They're trying to upgrade it to the Medal of Honor. And now I ask you, just how can you write an APR, a performance report, on a guy that's going up for the Medal of Honor? You either write it good or else you're an Airman Basic in the morning. And I don't think I could afford to lose some stripes, but needless to say, I don't think it will happen. So let's see if we can't get away from the Vietnam situation over here. We might come back to it later. I don't really know whether we will or not. Granted, I'm here to do a job, and I'll do it to the best of my ability. And as far as talking about it, we don't even talk about it among ourselves when we're sitting around having a few beers or a few drinks. Like it got last night. I sort of got out of hand, and needless to say, this morning woke up with a small hangover, we shall say. And first thing this morning, I didn't fly today. I had to give a rescue briefing on Jolly Green capabilities, rescue capabilities and all, to a bunch of new pilots just coming in country who fly the fighters and the FAC birds and all the other air power they have. We sort of give them a good briefing when they come in case the impossible does happen, they get shot down, which we all know do happen over here. That's what really makes us wonder about being over here and all. A few of us heard remark the other day through different sources. Of course, we didn't hear it ourselves, but seeing you mention the Nixon administration, I just might say this, is that we're all sort of interested if he's going to back up the statement he made not too long ago about he gives the Vietnam situation 3 months. Either going to go whole hog or we're going to get the hell out. So I'm sort of sitting around waiting to see what he's going to do about it. So we'll see. You mentioned something about the peace talks, and well, to us over here, the peace talks are nothing but a big waste. It seems to be getting a hell of a lot of publicity, but that's about the size of it, isn't it? There's nothing getting done or anything like that. But once again, we'll see what happens and bear with it, you know. Cloud, you said something about baseball strike. We've heard something about it over here and all, and well, you know, why not? Everyone to their own kick, right? Everyone else seems to be doing it, and it was mentioned over here at one time. We wonder what Uncle Sam would do if all the military personnel went on strike all of a sudden. But it's something to think about. And talking about sports, yeah, I've noticed in the Pacific Stars and Stripes about our Boston Bruins. It's really surprised us. See you. Well, have no fear. I'm back again. Sorry, I got kind of short on the other side, but I just wasn't watching the end of the tape, I guess. But as I was saying, I had noticed about the Bruins win 17. I guess the last one I saw was 18 games in a row, and that is sort of unusual for the so-called Boston Bruins. Maybe this would just be the year for them. Maybe that's what they really need. So, but I did hear, I think it was just the other day, that the streak came to an end. They finally lost the game. So what counts is how they finish at the end of the year. So we'll see how it goes. You mentioned in your tape about Jimmy Miller. He was the one who was down in Orlando with us. Jimmy just got back from the train. He's been TDY down there since, I guess it was first part of October. He left right after I got here. Give it take a few days. In fact, a couple of weeks. I was here a couple of weeks before he took off. And when I did get here, he was TDY over to Nakhon Phanom over in Thailand, a special project that Rescue has been working on since we've been here. And it looks like it finally paid off. We've been working with gas. I don't know whether you've ever heard of it. If the situation or the area is real bad of trying to get in and pick up a survivor, the SPADs, the A1Es, will go in and fly at treetop level and lay down not only a smoke screen, but they'll lay down a screen of gas also. And we give it about 5 minutes to take effect, and we go on in straight into the area and with a gas mask on and everything else. And granted, the survivor is not too happy with it because it does burn the skin and irritates the eyes and everything, but they all seem to come to the same conclusion that after they get pulled out, that it's worth those couple of minutes that it takes to get them out once we get into the area. So he was working on that, and like I mentioned, that it paid off not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. He had one particular mission that we had to use gas on. But Jimmy said to say hi. In fact, he was here just before I started the tape. I was hoping he'd be around long enough to let him say a few words for himself, but duty called. He's got the alert today, and he stopped back in the barracks for a couple of minutes after the lunch, and he went back to work. As you can probably tell by that remark, no, I'm not working this afternoon. I'm taking the afternoon off for change, so hope to get this tape finished and write a few letters that I owe, and see what happens tonight. I might try and take it in a show. So, but he did say to pass on his regards, and he hopes that y'all feeling well, and to tell y'all to take care, and don't cause too much trouble down there in Florida. Okay? You mentioned in your tape that Lois and Don and the kids are coming down for a couple of weeks. I'm really glad to hear that, and I hope they enjoy Florida, seeing that it is their first visit. And more than likely, I just happen to think of it, is that probably by the time this tape gets to you, they'll be there. So be sure to pass on my regards, and I hope that they're all feeling well, and they're probably excited, wanting to get down, see some places down there in Florida, because there's quite a few places to see, really. So don't forget to tell them I said hi. Okay? I was awful glad to hear also that y'all had a real enjoyable visit with Bob and George, and I've heard quite a bit about the farm, I guess it is, and Mom's said quite a bit about it, and I'm sure you folks enjoyed yourself up there. So, oh, by the way, another item you mentioned in your tape was King rental cars. Well, I heard that and said to here, wondering. How did they get something from King Rental Cars addressed to me? Well, it had me puzzled, I gotta admit that. But I think I finally got it, and I think it's the fact that for my driver's license, every time you rent a car, you gotta show me driver's license and the address. And they were using the address 30 Harlow Street back in Arlington, so that's probably how you got it. So, but I wholeheartedly recommend King. It's about the best deal you can get down there in Florida. Of course, all car rentals are expensive, but King will give you the best deal. So I hope Don and Lois enjoy it. They can have just about any kind of car they want. So it's a real good riding car too. I mean, not too bad on mileage. It's just that you gotta pay for the mileage. That's what hurts. I sort of looked down at the tape and getting kind of short. And finding myself running pretty short on words, trying to finish this tape. And as you probably already noticed, that one thing about a tape, when you do a tape, is that quite a bit of jumping around from subject to subject. And you think about something, and while you're thinking about it, you try and talk about it, then you think of something else, and you think of the other subject again, and you come back to it. But like I said before, it all makes it pretty interesting. So you have to excuse the noise in the background. One of the guys in the barracks here is working on the hooch, putting a couple of nails in, trying to make himself a couple of shells. So that's what all the noise is about. And let's see if I can't fill you in a little bit on what's happened since the days back at Eggman. We've got a little bit of tape left, so we left there. When I came over to stand by a minute, I'm going to have to wait around until he finishes hammering the woodwork. Well, we'll give it another try and see what happens. I started to say that I left the States on the 30th of August and got in the Philippines and hung around there for a couple of weeks, went to survival school, jungle survival school, and then came on into Saigon and Tan Son Nhut back in September, and I was up there for about 5 days before I came on down here to Da Nang. And went right into flying, and there's no messing around, and got busy, and right off the bat, I guess Charlie heard I was coming or something, but he sure tried to, I mean, not try, but he sure did a good job of initiating, got myself in a little bit of hot water right off the bat on a few missions, and but everything turned out okay. And in October, I was, went down to Bangkok pretty early for an R&R, but let's just say it was recommended. And got back, and I don't know, you probably heard.